So a couple of weeks away from Christmas itself, we think about the enigma of Christmas. You may have heard the story about the young boy, autistic boy. He was in the Christmas play, and he had one line. He was going to be the hotel proprietor for the city of Bethlehem, and Mary and Joseph were coming to the hotel, and his line was, "There's no room in the inn." So his parents were practicing with him the week before, and he kept saying it and wanted to make sure he was okay with it. So the children's play came, and Mary and Joseph were going around, much like Posada, which is going to happen here next week. But they were trying to find a place where they could have lodging, and so Mary could give birth to the baby, Jesus. So they go to the little boy's hotel and knock on the door, and he opens the door, and they say, "We need a place to stay," and he said, "But there's no room in the inn." And as they turned around and were walking away, he shouts out after them, "But you can stay at my house." The sadness of Christmas is part of the joy of Christmas too. For a lot of us, we go through different kinds of struggles. Some of us go through the loss of people. And as you posted last week, one of the best things, I think, is for folks to get on the phone and call somebody that you know, do text or whatever it is, however you communicate with people. It doesn't have to be much at all, just thinking of you. This time of year, I know it's very different for you, and people who receive those calls are just so profoundly grateful for them. Just that somebody was thinking about them and that they thought to call. Don't need to say a whole lot of anything, just that your friendship is valuable, and we know that your loss is something that you would prefer not to deal with this Christmas season, but we're thinking of you anyway. Which is another piece of it. You've heard this, I'm sure. But the irony of Christmas is that when people gather together, family and friends, is perhaps the best time to experience grief, because you have the support of one another. You certainly all miss the person who is no longer with you. But at the same time, often enough, the stories start about how things were, and maybe some funny stories or some really poignant stories that you can tell, and that just helps in the grieving process. It helps us to live in those painful moments. You speak about social media, and I think getting maybe on Skype or Duo or whatever it is that we have available to us, just to not show off my Christmas tree, but to just say hello to somebody, and let them see you when you get a chance to see them as they're experiencing the holiday itself. The customs and habits of Christmas, too, are things that might take a while to shift and adapt to the day that we live in. And it's hard to let go of it, because this is the way we always did it. I know for my nieces and nephews, they were just saying, "We're going to have Christmas on Christmas Eve." Now, this is the first time in 2 generations that the family has gotten together on Christmas Eve, because we've always done it Christmas Day. Whole family gets together. And for a bunch of reasons, they'd like to switch it, or at least try it out for a year. So they were calling around saying, "Is it okay?" Well, of course it's okay. It's your family and your experience, and you can change things. You're still inviting people to get together for Christmas itself. But I guess maybe one of the most important parts of this is the Holy Family itself. We try to imagine the joy of bringing a child into the world for Mary and Joseph. The event that changed the history of the world, Christ coming among us, Jesus being born. But it was in very difficult times. There was lots of pain there was lots of struggle. So if that's been your experience or the experience of some people you know, it's got nothing to do with bad luck, or it's just a process of life. And one of the most important pieces of this is that the Holy Family is there, Jesus is there, we are there, we are part of the incarnation itself. So as we experience it, or as we get on the phone or Skype or whatever it is to talk to people, and just let them know we're thinking about them, we become Eucharistic. We are, in a sense, a little bit of a bread of life for those folks. So hopefully your Advent season, as you move toward Christmas, is not too busy that you don't have a time to catch your breath and say a prayer and give thanks to God.